So for all practical purposes, we're done. We've recorded it. We've watched it back. It's wonderful. Collapse down all of the draggers and eye gaze and all the extra stuff here. And at this point, we are ready to export this out. Now, something to note, you must click off of all of these lines over here. So don't be clicked on your puppet. Don't be clicked on the haunted house. Don't be clicked on the take. And by the way, don't freak out, because if you click off of your ghost, he doesn't talk or move. Because if you're clicked on haunted house, it's ready to edit that one. And you can only really have one in here. So, all right, so we've got it ready to go, and I'm clicked off of all of them. Over to the right in the properties, this is how you set the duration. Just double check and make sure your duration is correct. Mine appears to be set properly, 12.1, but let me just tell you, I can't tell you how many times I have received projects that are 90 seconds long, because for whatever reason, they didn't double check that duration. So always be careful to double check the duration of the project. And you can always zoom up even closer by using those circles down here to see exactly how long the project is. Or if they record and there's a bunch of dead space at the end, they can cut it off early. So be sure the duration is set correctly. Then you're going to go to File, Export, in the very top row, Video via Adobe Media Encoder. Now, if we didn't have a background and you wanted to take this as a transparent video into Premiere, you could choose Video with Alpha. And if you wanted to just import this straight into Premiere, you can just use an Adobe Dynamic Link. But that takes a lot of memory, so it's not the best thing to do. Okay, so I'm going to choose the first option, Video via Adobe Media Encoder. It's going to immediately ask you to save it as an MP4. I'll just call it Finished Ghost Starter and put it in my same folder. Now that doesn't save it, which is confusing because you think, okay, I saved it. No, because it said export it to Adobe Media Encoder. So now Adobe Media Encoder is going to open up, which confuses people because sometimes we accidentally just keep on clicking and it happens multiple times because you don't think anything's happening. So once we get in here, give it a second. Your Adobe Media Encoder is going to put it in the queue. So over here, you should see a queue, and that queue will say H264, which is MP4 format, and then it says where it's going to go, my CA folder and my Finished Ghost Starter practice folder. And I can click on that if I need it to be somewhere else. And then really at this point, you just either hit enter or you can hit this play button right here to start the queue. You're going to hit that button. It's going to go through down here at the bottom. It's just exporting it out. Just like in video programs, it has to export it out. So it's happening down here. You probably can't see it, but it's going through it down here at the bottom. When that's finished and it's encoded, that will be all the way across, and then you can open it up from your folder to test it. So don't go to your recent documents. Go actually to that folder to test it, because recent documents sometimes won't work. So I'm going to come back to my folder, which is the CA folder. And then I have my Finished Ghost Starter Practice. It's 12 seconds. Double click it. And there it is. Oh, except look. I accidentally recorded something and recorded over the beginning part. Anyway, okay, so that should work. So I had a secondary take that I recorded over the top of that because I accidentally hit the record button on that program instead of my screen recording program and recorded over part of it. But anyway, but that's the gist of it. So that's how you export it out. Now, what if you just wanted to use this puppet again sometime? You're like, one of these days, I just want to use this puppet. Well, you can do that because you don't want to have to go through this process of rigging and giving it triggers and all that stuff. Plus, you see online where you can go download a starting puppet. So, how do you make those? You do just what we did, and then you export just the puppet. File, Export, and Puppet. And it's going to be a puppet file. So I could say, Tanya's Ghost Starter Practice Puppet and hit Save. And then that puppet is one that I could use for a different project, or I could give to a friend, or whatever. And now I actually have a puppet file. And a puppet file, like this fish puppet here, has all the rigging and everything. Whereas an AI file, your Adobe Illustrator, does not have any of the rigging. So Adobe Illustrator does not have the sticks and the draggers and the triggers and all that stuff we've worked so hard on, that's not in the Illustrator file, but it is in the Puppet file. So you can export out a Puppet so that you could reuse this Puppet in any other project that you wanted.